Hey guys, it's Nicola Milan from Singer's Secret. Now, one question I get all the time is, how do I know if I'm breathing correctly for singing? Or how do I know if my diaphragm is even working properly? This is what we're going to look at in today's video. But first, let me quickly explain exactly what the diaphragm is. Your diaphragm is a thin muscle. It's called the breathing muscle, and it actually sits underneath your rib cage and it goes all the way around to the back. It's kind of like a plate that almost separates your lungs from your sort of stomach area. And what happens is when you breathe in, your diaphragm, I hope you can see this, your diaphragm pushes down. So actually goes down like this. So this is what your muscle does. And then when you breathe out, you exhale, it goes back up into place. So you breathe in, it pushes down, and essentially gives you more lung capacity because your lungs have extra space that they can fill. And then when you breathe out, your lungs go back up into place. So that is the function of the diaphragm. So how do you know if it's actually working properly? Well, there are 4 indicators that your diaphragm is doing its job. The first indicator is when you start using your diaphragm correctly, it may actually feel like you're not getting enough breath, just to start with. And the reason for this is because you're usually starting to take a lot longer to fill up your lungs and deeper breaths as well, instead of taking sort of quick, shallow breaths just from the upper part of your lung capacity. Because it feels like when you take a long, deep breath in, you know, that took a lot longer to take that slow, controlled, deep breath in than it does to sort of shallow breathe, just using the upper part of my lungs. And as a result, it can feel like you're not getting enough breath, and you kind of do this controlled breathing for a while, and then you kind of go back to being panting and being out of breath. You're also breathing in a controlled manner as well, which is also what kind of contributes to that feeling of not having enough air. But when you persevere with this, doing these deep controlled breaths and really starting to get your diaphragm to push down when you breathe, you're finally working that muscle out, pretty much for the first time ever. And like any muscle, it needs time to strengthen as well. So just persevere with the exercises, and after a while, it won't feel like you're running out of breath. You'll actually feel like you have a lot more air, and it will feel better. The second indicator that your diaphragm is working is that your lower rib cage will expand. So let me stand back for this. So when I show my singing students how to do breathing exercises, I always get them to put their hands on their lower rib cage, because you want to feel these ribs pushing outwards towards your hands. So when you shallow breathe, you tend to sort of, your shoulders rise and you kind of tend to breathe up here. But when you breathe using your diaphragm, this whole section down here will expand. It'll expand out. Feels so good. So when you practice this, really put your hands here on the lower rib cage and feel that expansion down there, and the whole upper part of your body should remain pretty still in comparison. You can also do this exercise in front of a mirror, and you just stand there and watch your shoulders versus your lower rib cage. Make sure your shoulders are nice and still and you're not rising, because you know, I think if we get stressed, we kind of tend to naturally hold a lot of tension in our shoulders and we breathe sort of shallow breaths. So just make sure this is all nice and still and down, and it's your lower rib cage that's expanding rather than your shoulders rising. The third indicator that your diaphragm is working properly is that you may start to yawn when you sing. And this usually happens in the warm-up of your practice. And there are a lot of theories as to why singers yawn, but I actually personally believe that it's a reaction, the body's reaction to controlled breathing, because you're no longer putting your breathing on autopilot. You're now you're controlling that breathing and doing it in a deliberate manner, which can cause this yawning reflex. You know, plus you tend to like open your, drop your jaw and open your mouth a lot wider, which can also sort of kick off that automatic yawning reflex. But I always tell my students, if you start to yawn when you're singing, it's a good sign. So yawn away, you're not doing anything wrong, you're not tired, it's just the body's reaction to controlled breathing. And the fourth indicator that your diaphragm is working properly is that you'll be able to hold your notes for longer. And this is the whole reason why we work on our breathing, because you want to be able to sing passages of music without having to take like a million breaths in the middle and sort of break the line. And breathing really is the foundation of all singing. Pitch problems, like problems with vibrato, all that stuff, all traces back to not having a strong diaphragm and good breath control. And one indicator of it working is that you will be able to hold your notes for a lot longer, and you'll be able to sing longer passages of music without having to take a breath. Now, breathing for singing is something that I go much deeper into inside my singing academy, which I will put a link to if you want to check that out in the description. But for now, I've got some really great vocal warm-ups for you. They're completely free and they come with videos and downloadable sing-along tracks, so you can kind of get your voice warmed up for singing. And I do the downloadable tracks in both male and female vocal ranges as well. I'll put a link to that in the description as well, so you can just click in it or take you over to where you can grab those. Now, in my next video, you're going to love it because I'm actually kind of doing a singing foundations sort of series here. So I'm kind of going back to the basics with singing with some of these videos. And next week we're going to talk about vocal tension and, you know, why your notes get stuck in your throat as you sing higher. And I know this happens to a lot of singers, so I know you're going to love this video. So stay tuned for it. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. And if you have a suggestion that you want me to do a video for next time, just leave it in the comment box. I love hearing from you. Yeah, I'll see you next time.